Hello, hello, GIFEW women from around the world. It is Catherine here with the amazing Sarah Needham, and I feel like it's been ages since we last spoke, which is why we wanted to launch this brand new series called Star Spotlights, where we shine on women. Because guess what, ladies? We are all stars, whether you feel that way about yourself or not. In GIFEW, we see you as stars. And we really want to highlight and showcase the amazing talent and the amazing projects and the amazing purpose that women are up to in our community. So welcome, Sarah Needham from Unique You Coaching, current location Germany. And congratulations for being our first Star Spotlight.
I'd have only known.
She only found out like right before I hit the go live button. So this is new for Sarah.
We should have put some music on or something.
So Sarah is a new leadership paradigm trusted advisor, and she coaches women in technology to transform organizations. And something, Sarah, you and I have known each other for, gosh, I think it's coming up to about a year now.
Yeah.
And someone I know you to be is, you are such a powerful stand for women out there, and you're just such a warrior when it comes to taking on organizations and challenges and structures that aren't working for women and people who feel like they are an other. Like, you're a real stand for that. So I'm so delighted that you're here for me. Would you like to say anything else to introduce yourself if I haven't been totally inclusive or
just
covered
maybe to tweak it to a compassionate warrior.
Compassionate warrior.
I try and help people rather than just storm straight through them.
Okay. Yes.
But no, I think it's quite interesting that you say that, because this was never my intention when I set out on this journey to kind of take this on. But I just can see that there's such a space that needs to be explored, needs to be discovered, needs to be created if we're going to be able to create a more sustainable future for life on Earth. And I know I say this so often, and I sometimes get bored of myself saying it. But as a B Corp business, that to me is really important, that everything we're doing is about creating impact, creating change. And that's obviously why I align so well with GIFEW, is because that is totally what you stand for in terms of being able to empower and enable people around the world.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, you can be compassionate and a warrior at the same time. It doesn't have to be, one way or the other. Like, we can bring our evolutionary selves and go into spaces that are maybe uncomfortable or unfamiliar, or where we're not necessarily welcomed, and make a difference. So Sarah, in the landscape, in the workplace landscape, particularly your area is technology, and you see a lot inside of many global and local organizations. What are, would you say, the key challenges, like, for leaders who, like you and like me, actually really do want to make a difference and want to create great inclusive places of belonging, both for their employees and for their customers, but are just really feel like, gosh, no matter what I do, I can't shift the dial. Like, what is it that's really holding back leaders in our organizations from being the change and creating the change they want to see?
Well, I think there are kind of a couple of things coming out here. Firstly, I think leadership as we can see it around us in the world is fairly broken. We haven't got very many good examples of leadership. Everyone can talk about what we're seeing in the political world, sometimes even what we're seeing in business. There's a lot that makes us feel uncomfortable. And the first thing I want to raise is that discomfort is our space for change. That is the way that we can actually, transform. That's the start of it. Something is already happening. So it's up to each of us as to, well, what do I want to stand for in this? And obviously we can kind of fall back into where we've been, but we've actually shown that doesn't help. That's not actually able to drive the change. I'm seeing a lot of businesses putting a lot of money into diversity, inclusion, sustainability projects to try and, to try and move that needle. And yet they're seeing very little return on the investments that they're making, because the system is not changing. And so you're trying to create change in the old system, which we've shown I think most of us can quite clearly give probably 5 examples of leadership behaviors around us in our businesses, around us in the world, which make us feel uncomfortable. So we're showing that actually this is the prevalent type of leadership. How much a lot of people know that there's a different way to do it. And a lot of people have got, an understanding, like logically, we can understand that we need to create spaces of belonging. We need to be able to create trust within the system. Actually, the way to do it is still very difficult for a lot of people. There's still this sort of huge blocker in the way because we're living in, even culturally, the old paradigm of, the leadership that's prevalent today. So
Yeah.
we have to be able to actually create that change, to shift that, to be able to release and align to a new paradigm.
Yeah, and I think this is maybe what holds women back. Like it's a universal problem that there aren't enough women at senior levels in organizations, right? And I think one of the reluctance for women, I mean, the Sheryl Sandberg sort of 10 years ago lean in version of this is like lean in, which was kind of like play the game like a man, it wasn't really play the game by a woman. That, it's like women see leadership as something else outside of them, like it's other people, and like it has this old form to it and can't see themselves in it. And we can't wait to see ourselves in it, ladies. We actually need to become it. Like just go, I am different than that, but my difference is my value, and my difference is why I should go for it, as opposed to I'm checking out. I decide this is my ceiling over here.
Right. And it's the same thing about, you look at someone like me who stepped out of industry. And actually, although that's what I did, I now try and help women and other people stay within industry. We can't keep bleeding people out because actually we're moving further away from equality. And what we need to do to enable the new leadership paradigm is to actually enable everybody to be themselves. And that sounds so easy. It doesn't sound difficult. It kind of starts with self-leadership, getting to know yourself. What am I good at? How do I speak about myself in a way that's positive and creates impact? But also that means you're showing up as a role model within the business for other people who maybe are underrepresented within the business. So you're actually creating this community, and you're creating more courage within the business. However, that takes a lot of courage. And there are certain businesses where potentially that's not even possible because you don't feel safe enough. However, I always challenge people when they go here to say, actually, what's the worst that's going to happen? If you're courageous, if you stand up for yourself, if you take a stand for something that's important for you, and you can speak about it in a way that other people can understand, then actually what happens with most of my clients is it drives respect.
Yeah. And it's when you face your fears of like, what's the worst that can happen? Most of the time, the worst that can happen is things stay the same. Like
Right.
most of the time, that's what's the worst that can happen. And if you're ever worried, like, oh, the worst that can happen is like, oh, I'll lose my job. Well, if I lose my job, I'll get a new one. Like I have been systemically fired 3 times. Honestly, I can say you'll get a new one. Like,
Yeah.
and another opportunity is around the corner. Like if you've been so courageous that there's like a negative knock-on effect to your courage, good. Like that's you, like things are moving for you. It's just, it doesn't always seem like, at the time, it may not always seem like, wait, this is the thing that's meant to happen to me.
Right. So I often say vulnerability, which is what we feel, is courage in disguise because everyone else sees it as courage. It's just us generally that when you're going through that, you feel really uncomfortable. But actually, that's what I mean is that standing up and getting closer to who you are enables you to connect with other people in a completely different way, and also to enable the contribution of others and of yourself. Now, we quite often hide away from this, especially as women. Oh, well, don't want to put myself out there. It's very selfish. But actually, your best way to serve other people is to maximize your own contribution, maximize your own impact. because that's how you can create more impact with other people. And again, this is about creating power together, amplifying one another, and co-creating, collaborating, rather than, trying to control and trying to go with scarcity and fear. And again, so many people know this, but actually they're putting it into practice what we see businesses are struggling with. And honestly, I think there's a fear of letting go what served people to get to where they are today. And I believe wholeheartedly that most, or if not everybody, is trying to create positive impact in the world. In their heads, in their understanding of life, they are trying to change something. We might disagree with them, but they're trying to change something. And actually, if that's true, then we need to help give them the tools to do it in a way that actually maximizes everyone's contribution, not just their own. And this is being able to, like I think Brené Brown says, about de-armoring, allowing people to be more vulnerable, making it better for everyone. It's not just for the women. It's about creating belonging for everybody and being able to create space where people can be their true selves.
Yeah, exactly. And for those, so I love what you do in organizations, and I'm going to use a term we use often in GIFEW, which is midwifing. You're really helping organizations like midwife, like many people in the organization, because you have an external view. So you can kind of see, ooh, that needs to die, that needs to die, that needs to die. Okay, that needs to be born. So I use the word again, midwifing bringing the new culture, helping organizations to transition the things that don't serve so that they can embrace the new future of possibility. And who would you love to speak to, who would you love to speak to out there, whether it's, women who are seeing this in their organizations, like they know, yeah, there's a lot of unhealthy stuff going on here that is just not the future. And what would you say to leaders out there as well who are like stuck and maybe don't want to admit it? Like they know deep down something needs to change, but they're like, they're just stuck in the gotta operate, gotta produce results.
Well, this is what I mean with compassion. I think we need to we need to build trust and we need to build compassion, because the first step is recognize you're not wrong for where you are today, and that the discomfort that you're feeling from within, that you're seeing within your organization, it's almost like that's your call to action. That's your call to start the conversation. If you don't know how to start that conversation internally, to be able to call out these behaviors, to be able to open the discussion, be able to create that space to be able to enable others to be vulnerable. And this is why it can be so difficult for people internally in an organization to do, because if you go into that space and it doesn't work, it comes back on you. Whereas someone external coming in can actually just help you see and help open the eyes. Because like I said, I believe it's unconscious or invisible, the changes that need to make to the leadership teams. It's not that they're trying to be difficult on this. They're not seeing it. And so we need to go in there and show them in a compassionate way to say, this is what I see within the organization. This is quite often where I start, is sort of a business opportunity assessment or a business impact assessment. Actually, what's here? What structures do you have in place? What feedback do you have? What are how are you promoting people within the business? All of this kind of comes together to look at, so what would be the opportunity for the business if you can create this change, if you can really enable your people? Because 21% engagement is what the Gallup latest stats said. You're looking for efficiencies going into a recession. Well, that's an amazing one. So don't start cutting your people projects, because that's going to impact your engagement.
Sorry, hold on. Wait, stop the presses. The Gallup poll has said employee engagement is 21% on average.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, 21%. That is like the vast minority. So like the vast majority of people are not engaged.
Are either not engaged as 60% and disengaged as 19%. So you've got almost the same disengaged, so working almost against you, as you have engaged. So you've got this real kind of tension within the organization. And, I always say, well, look at the massive wastage and human potential that everyone just seems to be kind of accepting because they don't know how to deal with it. And what I'm here to
Ladies,
say is we can deal with it.
yeah,
We really can make a difference. And if you're looking for efficiencies, like changes going into a recession, look at how to engage your people, please. And if you don't speak to me about it, go speak to somebody else. Go
yeah,
find someone who you can resonate with, who can make this change or help you see how to make this change in your business.
yeah,
Because it's not as difficult as you probably have got probably in your head it is. But at the same time, it takes doing the self leadership, the work on yourself to be able to see what it is for the organization.
yeah. Wow. So ladies, we have a lot of work to do transforming our workplaces. They need us. This is what there is. They need us, and they need us to be evolutionary women and stand in our power, whether that's courage, kindness, compassion, vulnerability. Um, let's get stuck in. So if this conversation has really called you to connect with either myself or Sarah, like please connect with us. We'll be creating ongoing conversations. So what would what's important to you in your life, your business, your impact that you would like to discuss? And Sarah, thank you so much again for being here today, for doing the work you do, for being who you are, and being an awesome co-creator and collaborator. I just love our chats together. So we'll
Thank
bring
you.
Sarah back, don't worry. And we'll see you all real soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.